Beloved, there are moments in life that do not come with noise. They come in silence. Moments that pass unnoticed by many, yet they carry the weight of heaven itself. Just 2 minutes ago, something shifted. At 11:11, a divine code was activated, not by man, not by chance, but by the hand of God. And the question is not whether it happened. The question is, are you spiritually awake enough to recognize it? You see, God does not always repeat his signals. When he moves, he expects alignment. When he speaks, he looks for obedience. And today, on this very day, May 1st, you are not here by accident. You are drawn here because something has been released in the spirit. Something urgent, something time-sensitive. There is a window, but it will not stay open forever. So I ask you now, will you act before it disappears? Divine timing is one of the most mysterious and powerful ways God moves in the life of a believer. It is not controlled by human schedules, calendars, or expectations. It does not depend on how ready you feel or how perfectly your life is arranged. Instead, it flows from the authority of heaven, unfolding at the exact moment God has ordained. There are seasons when nothing seems to move, when prayers feel delayed, when doors remain closed despite your efforts. In those moments, it is easy to believe that nothing is happening. But in the unseen realm, God is aligning circumstances, positioning people, and preparing outcomes that cannot be rushed or forced. When divine timing arrives, it often comes suddenly, without warning, interrupting the normal rhythm of life. One moment, everything feels ordinary, and the next, something shifts. This is why spiritual sensitivity is so important, because many people miss these moments. They are waiting for something loud, dramatic, or obvious, while God is moving in a way that requires discernment. The significance of a moment like 11:11 is not in the numbers themselves, but in what it represents. A precise point in time, marked by intention, a signal that something has been released and activated according to God's will. Throughout Scripture, divine timing is evident in every major breakthrough. Abraham waited years for the promise of a son, yet when the appointed time came, nothing could delay it any longer. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment, but at the exact moment God had planned, he was lifted from a prison to a palace in a single day. These moments were not random. They were orchestrated with precision, demonstrating that God's timing is never early and never late. It is always perfect, even when it feels delayed from a human perspective. Understanding divine timing requires trust. It means believing that God sees beyond what you can see, that he understands the full picture while you only experience a small part of it. It requires patience during the waiting seasons and readiness during the moments of activation. Because when God decides that the time has come, hesitation can cause you to miss what has been released. The opportunity may not look the way you expect it. It may come disguised as a simple instruction, a quiet prompting, or a sudden realization that demands immediate action. There is also a responsibility that comes with divine timing. When God aligns a moment, he is not only opening a door, he is inviting you to step through it. This is where many struggle, because fear, doubt, or overthinking can cause delay. But divine timing does not wait for human comfort. It calls for faith. It calls for movement, even when you do not fully understand what lies ahead. The activation of a moment is not just about recognition, it is about response. In spiritual terms, timing is often connected to obedience. God may prepare something for you, but stepping into it requires alignment with His direction. This is why awareness and obedience work together. One without the other is incomplete. You can recognize a moment and still miss it if you refuse to act. Or you can be willing to act, but miss the moment because you are not paying attention. Divine timing demands both a heart that is sensitive and a spirit that is willing. There are also forces that attempt to distract you when divine timing is near. Confusion, discouragement, and delay often intensify just before a breakthrough. This is not coincidence, it is resistance. The closer you are to a God-ordained moment, the more important it becomes to stay focused and spiritually grounded. Because the enemy does not fear your potential as much as he fears your alignment with God's timing. When you are aligned, things begin to accelerate in ways that cannot be explained naturally. Divine timing is also deeply personal. What is meant for you will not be given to someone else, and what is appointed for your life cannot be permanently blocked. It may be delayed, it may be tested, but it cannot be destroyed if it is truly ordained by God. This brings a sense of peace, even in uncertainty, knowing that your life is not governed by randomness, but by purpose. Every moment has meaning, even the ones that feel insignificant. When a moment like this arrives, it carries weight. It is not just another second passing by. It is an intersection between heaven and earth, where something spiritual touches something physical. These moments are rare and they require attention. They require you to pause internally, to listen, to discern, and to be ready. Because once the moment passes, it does not always return in the same way. Spiritual awareness is the ability to perceive what is happening beyond the surface of everyday life. It is not limited to what you can see with your eyes or hear with your ears, but it involves a deeper sensitivity within your spirit. Many people move through life focused only on the physical, reacting to circumstances without ever recognizing that there is a spiritual dimension influencing everything around them. To be spiritually aware is to understand that not every moment is ordinary, that sometimes what appears simple carries a deeper meaning, and that God often speaks in ways that require discernment rather than noise. This awareness does not come automatically. It is developed through intentional connection with God, through prayer, reflection, and a willingness to quiet the distractions that fill the mind. In a world that constantly demands attention, it becomes easy to lose that sensitivity. Noise, stress, and routine can dull the ability to recognize when something significant is happening. This is why many miss divine signals. They are not absent, but they are unnoticed. God may be speaking, guiding, or prompting, yet the heart is too occupied to receive it. There is a difference between hearing and truly listening. Spiritual awareness requires a posture of listening, where the heart is open and attentive. It is the ability to pause internally, even when everything around you is moving quickly. Because often God does not compete with noise. He speaks in a way that invites you to lean in, to become still within, and to discern what is being revealed. This kind of awareness allows you to recognize moments that others overlook, to sense when something has shifted, even if there is no visible sign. Discernment is a key part of spiritual awareness. Not every thought, feeling, or opportunity comes from the same source. Some things are distractions, some are tests, and some are divine instructions. Without discernment, it becomes difficult to distinguish between them. This is where many become confused, acting on impulses that lead them away from their purpose, while ignoring the quiet guidance that could lead them forward. Spiritual awareness sharpens this ability, helping you to recognize what aligns with God's will and what does not. There are times when awareness comes as a subtle impression rather than a clear message. It might feel like a gentle nudge, a sense that something is important, or an unexplainable urgency that cannot be ignored. These moments require trust because they do not always come with full understanding. You may not know why you feel led to act or pay attention, but spiritual awareness teaches you to respond even without complete clarity. It is in these moments that obedience and awareness begin to connect. Spiritual awareness also protects you. When you are attentive to what is happening in the spirit, you become less vulnerable to deception and distraction. You begin to notice patterns, to sense when something is not right, and to avoid paths that could lead to harm. This is not about fear, but about clarity. It is about walking with a level of understanding that goes beyond appearances, allowing you to navigate life with wisdom rather than impulse. At the same time, awareness opens you to opportunities that others may miss. When God releases something, it is not always announced in a way that everyone will recognize. It often requires those who are spiritually awake to step forward. This is why awareness is connected to readiness. If you are not paying attention, you may overlook the very moment that could change everything. The opportunity may pass by quietly, leaving no visible trace. Yet it carried the potential for transformation. Maintaining spiritual awareness requires consistency. It is not something that can be turned on only when you need it. It is a lifestyle, a continuous state of connection and attentiveness. It means regularly creating space for reflection, guarding your thoughts, and staying aligned with God's presence. Over time, this builds a sensitivity that becomes natural, allowing you to recognize even the smallest shifts. There are also challenges that come with this level of awareness. It may separate you from the way others think or respond. While others may dismiss certain moments as insignificant, you may feel their weight. This can create a sense of isolation, but it also confirms that you are perceiving something deeper. Spiritual awareness is not about fitting into the patterns of the world, but about aligning with a higher understanding. Moments like the one being described require this kind of sensitivity. They are not always obvious, and they do not force themselves into your attention. They must be recognized. They must be discerned. And once they are, require a response that matches their significance. Without awareness, the moment fades into nothing more than another passing second. Immediate obedience is one of the most challenging yet transformative responses to God's movement. It requires acting without delay, without overanalyzing, and without waiting for perfect conditions. Many people say they are willing to follow God, but when the moment to act arrives, hesitation takes over. Questions begin to form, doubts start to rise, and the urgency of the moment is slowly replaced by the comfort of delay. Yet when God moves, His instructions are often tied to a specific window, and obedience loses its power when it is postponed. There is a natural tendency to seek clarity before action. The human mind wants to understand every detail, to see the full path before taking the first step. But spiritual obedience does not always work this way. God may reveal only a portion, asking you to move forward with limited information. This is where faith becomes essential, because obedience is not based on complete understanding, but on trust in the one who is giving the direction. Waiting until everything makes sense can cause you to miss the moment entirely. Immediate obedience often feels uncomfortable because it pushes you beyond familiarity. It may require letting go of routines, stepping into uncertainty, or making decisions that others do not understand. There is a cost attached to moving quickly when God speaks, but there is also a greater cost attached to delay. The longer you wait, the more room you give for fear to grow and for external influences to interfere. What began as a clear instruction can become clouded by overthinking, leading to inaction. Throughout Scripture, those who experienced breakthrough were often those who responded quickly. When Peter was called to step out of the boat, the moment required action before doubt could take control. When Abraham was instructed to go to a place he had never seen, his obedience was not delayed by endless questioning. These examples show that movement is often required before understanding is complete. The act of stepping forward creates alignment with God's plan in a way that waiting cannot. There is also a spiritual principle connected to speed. When obedience is immediate, it demonstrates alignment and trust, which can accelerate outcomes. It positions you in the right place at the right time, allowing events to unfold as they were intended. Delay, on the other hand, can disrupt this alignment. It can cause missed connections, lost opportunities, and prolonged waiting that could have been avoided. Timing and obedience are closely linked, and separating them weakens the impact of both. Fear is one of the main reasons people struggle with immediate obedience. It raises questions about risk, about failure, and about the unknown. It creates scenarios that may never happen, convincing you to stay where you are rather than move forward. But fear operates in opposition to faith. While faith calls you to trust and act, fear encourages you to hesitate and retreat. Recognizing this difference is important because not every hesitation is wisdom. Sometimes it is simply fear disguised as caution. Another challenge is the desire for confirmation. People often wait for multiple signs, repeated assurances, or external validation before they act. While confirmation can be helpful, it can also become an excuse for delay. When God has already made something clear, continuing to wait can shift from wisdom to avoidance. Immediate obedience requires confidence in what has already been revealed, even if it feels incomplete. There is a discipline involved in responding quickly. It requires training your mind and spirit to prioritize God's direction over your own comfort. This does not mean acting recklessly, but it means being prepared to move when clarity comes. It involves reducing the gap between instruction and action so that when the moment arrives, you are ready to respond without resistance. Over time, this becomes a habit, strengthening your ability to act with confidence and consistency. Immediate obedience also strengthens your sensitivity to future guidance. Each time you respond quickly, you reinforce your connection with God's direction. You become more attuned, more responsive, and more aligned. This creates a cycle where awareness leads to action, and action leads to deeper awareness. It builds momentum in your spiritual life, allowing you to move forward with greater clarity and purpose. There are moments that carry urgency, where delay can change the outcome. These are not ordinary moments, and they require a different level of response. Recognizing them is only part of the process. Acting on them is what brings transformation. When a moment like this appears, it is not asking for consideration, it is calling for movement. A limited window is a concept that challenges the assumption that every opportunity will always be available. It confronts the idea that you can return later, decide later, act later. In spiritual matters, timing is not always flexible. There are moments that are specifically appointed, and when they pass, they do not remain open in the same way. This is not meant to create fear, but to awaken a sense of urgency and value for what is being presented. When something is time-sensitive, it carries a different weight, a different level of importance that demands attention. Many people treat opportunities as if they are permanent. They assume that if something is meant for them, it will wait indefinitely. But a limited window operates differently. It is tied to alignment, to timing, and to readiness. When all of these elements come together, a door opens, but it does not stay open forever. The moment is precise, and its effectiveness depends on your response within that time frame. Missing the window does not always mean the end of everything, but it can mean a delay, a detour, or a missed level of impact that cannot be easily recovered. In everyday life, this principle is easy to understand. There are chances that come once, decisions that must be made quickly, and opportunities that expire if ignored. Spiritually, the same pattern exists, but it often goes unrecognized. God may create a moment where everything is aligned for a breakthrough, yet hesitation can cause that alignment to shift. The people, the circumstances, the conditions may not come together in the same way again. This is why awareness and obedience are so closely connected to timing. A limited window often does not announce itself loudly. It can appear as a simple moment, something that seems ordinary on the surface. There may be no visible countdown, no external pressure forcing you to act. This subtlety is what causes many to overlook it. They do not realize that what they are experiencing is temporary, that the opportunity has an unseen boundary. By the time they recognize its significance, the moment has already passed. There is also a tendency to underestimate the value of a moment when it first appears. People may delay because they do not fully understand what is at stake. They assume there will be another chance, another opportunity, another moment that feels the same. But not all moments are equal. Some carry a unique combination of timing and purpose that cannot be replicated. Recognizing this difference requires discernment and humility, an awareness that not everything can be postponed without consequence. Pressure can increase when a limited window is present. You may feel an internal urgency, a sense that something requires immediate attention. This feeling can be uncomfortable, especially if you are used to taking your time. But this urgency is not random. It is often an indicator that the moment is active, that something is available now that may not be available later. Ignoring this signal can lead to regret, not because you are incapable, but because you are unresponsive. There are also external distractions that can pull your attention away during critical moments. When a window is open, it is common for competing priorities to arise, for confusion to increase, or for unexpected challenges to appear. These are not always coincidences. They can serve as interruptions that shift your focus and delay your response. Staying centered becomes essential because losing focus, even briefly, can cause you to miss what is in front of you. A limited window requires decisiveness. It asks you to move beyond indecision and take action with clarity. This does not mean acting impulsively without thought, but it means recognizing when a moment cannot be stretched indefinitely. It requires you to trust what you have discerned and respond accordingly. Indecision can be just as costly as rejection because it consumes the time that was meant for action. There is also a responsibility in recognizing that not every missed window will return. While God is merciful and provides new opportunities, each one may come with different conditions, different timing, and different outcomes. What was available in one moment may not be available in the next. This is why sensitivity to timing matters so deeply. It is not about pressure, but about alignment with what is present now. Moments like this carry a quiet urgency. They do not wait for complete comfort or perfect certainty. They exist for a time, and within that time, they invite a response that matches their significance. When the window begins to close, it does so without announcement, leaving behind only the awareness of what was available and the realization of whether it was embraced or ignored. As this message comes to a close, carry its weight with you into the moments ahead. What you've heard is not just information. It is a call to awareness, to readiness, and to action within a time that will not remain open forever. Guard your focus, stay spiritually alert, and do not delay what you know you are being led to do. Even the smallest step taken in alignment can shift the direction of what comes next. Do not let this moment fade into routine. Hold on to it, reflect on it, and respond with intention. If this message resonated with you in any way, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with others who may need this reminder. And drop a comment below. What stood out to you the most in this message?